Seconds away on Studio 5.
Most people can see, but not everyone has vision.
We sit down with the man on a mission to speak 1 billion dreams into existence.
Grace will lead me home.
David Dunn is in Studio 5 sharing the tragedy that inspired his latest project.
Be radical, go against the norm.
And meet the up-and-coming rapper hoping to inspire radical change. All in Studio 5, starting now. And welcome to this special episode of Studio 5. Today's show, it is all about hope. And our first guest, Billionaire P.A, knows a thing or two about that. He is now on a mission to inspire you to dream big.
I can remember being trapped inside of a negative environment that wouldn't allow me to dream, to the point that I had to set my mind free, to the point that I now dream so big. Dream about me.
I mean, if you dreaming, mama, you dreaming about me. But I'm no longer selfish. I now encourage the world to please dream bigger than me.
Long before he spoke to packed audiences and sat in Studio 5, Billionaire PA was a man with 2 felonies, living in his truck.
I was homeless for 36 months, 3 years. And I spent all the time I needed with myself. I found myself. I know who I am. I'm on a mission to change the world, inspire billions of people. I rewrote my whole life in the back of my truck.
When 125 companies rejected him, he created his own opportunity, putting inspirational messages on t-shirts and selling them.
When I was in the back of my truck, I was writing inspirational quotes. I never knew that the quotes would one day lead to a book, t-shirt, or nothing. I was just venting. So I had no money in my pocket. Another quote I wrote, "It's okay if your pockets are broke, just make sure your mind makes sense." Then I followed up with the quote, "Most people can see, but not everyone has vision." I wrote that standing on the Bay Bridge. And I looked at the ocean, that's what I saw. Other people saw water, I saw opportunity. Right after that, I followed up with the quote, "Never spend your present time with a person that you don't have a future with." Then I wrote the quote, "Tie yourself to greatness before failure chokes you." Then I wrote the quote, "I just tested positive with MTD, motivated transmitted disease. If you touch me, look at me, email me, or hate on me, I will infect you all with motivation." I was reprogramming the broke mindset to what I call the wealthy mindset. First 2 letters in wealthy spell we. It was never about money, but I used what people love the most against them. Yes, my flesh. I tell people I love to make money. I'm a billionaire. I am a billionaire. I speak that into existence. But I focus more on not the flesh and the spirit of what God actually created me, which was to help people to speak their dreams into existence. That's my overall mission. But it started with me sitting in that truck, just writing inspirational quotes. And they're quotes to you, they're quotes to the world, but this is the life that I live.
You spend a great deal of your time now helping young people speak their dreams into existence. What started that?
For one, I'm a big kid. I'm still a kid. Why not? You know, kids are not stuck in their ways. We can stop racism with kids. We can change the world with children. There are some children that are not they don't worry, they have no worries. They have no fear. So I like working with them. I like working with people who don't use the word CAN''T, TRY. I don't use them words. Every time I say a negative word, I get down and we do 10 push-ups. I do that at all the speeches I do. You say a negative word on the stage with me. I feel like if you're gonna have a broke mindset, you should have a healthy body. So that's why, you know, so these kids, they come up, I give them the microphone, they speak their dreams into existence. You know why I do that? Because I got tired of people telling me as a kid to shut up. That's the biggest contradiction I've ever seen in my life, is to tell a child that they're the future, but when they speak, you tell them to be quiet. If they're the future, they should talk. They should let you tell, you know, the millennium generation created Facebook, Instagram. I would advise you to listen to your children. Like, these children are not dumb. And my dream was to bring those crazy dreams and gifts out of people. And I use myself as an example with the prices of my products and stuff like that. All of that is to teach these kids to understand their worth. Has nothing to do with just making money, you know. Making money is a part of business. And I never want them to think that they should wake up and be talented and broke. I would never teach a kid to wake up and be famous but broke. No, you're gonna get compensated for the gifts that God has given you. It should be a sin to be broke.
What's been the biggest surprise for you on this journey thus far?
The biggest surprise is I like when people actually, when you can convince people that they dreams can actually manifest.
This your show right now. This your show. I want you to speak a concrete dream into existence, and I speak into existence that the whole audience, when you finish, they about to go absolutely crazy for your dreams. Because I think if we can clap for all the celebrities that already got it, that we don't even know, we can clap for you. You ready? Say, I speak into existence. Go.
I think into existence, empowering others to share their knowledge with others in a collaborative education.
To be honest with you, I probably believe in the person more than they believe in themselves. And it brings me joy to take the kid or the person that doubted themselves or everybody doubted them. But you see they got the energy. Some people just need a mentor. They just need to be taught. That's all I needed. I just needed a mentor to teach me how to run a business, how to be successful, how to have the mentality of not being afraid to tell people that, yes, I do run my business to make money and to help people, and be confident with that.
And for more of Billionaire PA's inspirational videos, be sure to check him out on social media. Up next.
Only your grace will lead me home.
David Dunn turns tragedy into art.
Almost every song on the record, or all of them, falls into these two categories. There's songs about little kids, and then there's songs about heaven.
And welcome back to this special edition of Studio 5. Our next guest is a musician whose talents landed him on season 2 of the hit NBC show, The Voice. Today, he's in Studio 5, sharing a story about finding hope after tragedy.
There is a place prepared for me.
Let's begin with your latest project. Tell me about Yellow Balloons.
So if you listen to one of my albums, you're almost always getting like a snapshot into my life for some period of time. And so the snapshot with Yellow Balloons, which is my last record, is really about 3 years ago now, 3 years ago to 2 years ago. It's like a year of my life.
Will lead me home.
I've got a giant family who all live in Texas still, and I'm very, very close with them. And very long story, but the short version is that my 2-year-old niece went down for a nap and didn't wake up from it.
Grace will lead me home.
You know, when somebody dies when they're 80, it's easy to go, let's celebrate those 80 years. They got to live this big, long life. Even 50, 20, 15 even, but a 2-year-old dies, and she's like a year into cognizance of realizing, oh, these people love me. Here's my people. I'm alive, and so are they. So, Yellow Balloons is me. It's thinking about Mariah was her name. The entire record. A yellow balloon. By the way, it's named that because a yellow balloon is traditionally something you let go at a child's memorial service. So the record actually ended up being about two things, right? Almost every song on the record, or all of them, falls into these two categories. There's songs about little kids, and then there's songs about heaven. You know, she's in heaven with Jesus, and here's what life looked like and how it relates to me, even now that she's gone, thinking about kids.
God, you were with me. Only your grace will lead me home. Only your grace will lead me.
Now, as an artist, how do you deal with self-doubt?
So there's kind of, you're sort of balancing as an artist, you're balancing those two things, self-confidence and self-doubt. And so anyone who tells you that's an artist, that tells you that they don't have one of those two things, is living a different life than I live, is what I would probably say.
How does your faith play into that?
So I sort of separate the two. Is I've got art, which is a conduit, and then I've got what I'm saying, which is the electricity, you could say, right? So you've got this wire, and the wire can be made of whatever, and what you're saying is the electricity that passes through it. So as a believer, what I want is I want to have copper. I want my art form to be amazing. And I want my message, which is the electricity, to be life-giving. I want it to bring people a measure of Jesus that they otherwise would not have if it weren't for my conduit and electricity. So that's my version of trying to change the world, is create amazing art that's actually allowing people to choose life, like Deuteronomy 30:19. I have set before you the choice of life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that you and your descendants might live. Those are the two options in this world. You get to choose death, you get to choose life.
Do you think people fully understand that good things take time and embrace that process?
Yes and no. I think some people do and some people don't. Do I think that people know how to fail? No. I don't think anybody really ever does, except for people who go out of their way, who overcome their self-doubt enough to put themselves out on the ledge far enough to where they might fall. Those are the only people who really have a chance of doing something that's actually worthwhile. And I think in every culture, there are a few people that are that way. Billy Graham was one. I spent a lot of time recently reading over Billy Graham's life, and I think a lot of what he did was put himself on the very edge of the cliff. Is that he put himself in a scenario to where he did fail a lot at the beginning, but you know, it was always a distinct possibility. And only by the grace of God was he able to accomplish what he was able to accomplish. But negating or putting aside the fear of failure, or realizing it's the best learning opportunity that you have, is really the only way to be successful. To do something that's worthwhile, that would be a better way to say it.
And you can check out more of David's music wherever music is sold. Still ahead on Studio 5.
Please don't make me do it. I'm about to go stupid.
A rapper gets radical and finds hope.
It wasn't until I hit depression and I got suicidal and wanted to give up on life is when Jesus became real to me.
We sit down with Change next. We are always keeping an eye out for up-and-coming artists here on Studio 5, and Change the Rapper is one of them. He's got an inspirational message about not letting anything stand in your way. He's this week's Studio 5 special, One to Watch. Now you have got an album out called Radical. What's the story behind Radical?
Radical is, I was up thinking about the meaning. The word radical, and one of the definitions to radical is to go against tradition. And I was like, man, that's the message that I want to portray to the youth and to anyone who hears the music, to go against the norm in your life. And the norm in your life can mean no one ever graduating high school. So it's radical for you to believe that you can do that. We as believers, it's radical to serve a God we can't see. You know, that's radical in general. So we some radical people. So I'm just encouraging people to be yourself, but be radical, go against the norm, go against tradition and what people are saying you can't do.
You got a favorite song on the album?
Every song has a favorite song. But I mean, right now in this season, the first one, Out of My Way. It's speaking to the obstacles, the challenges that are before us. Sometimes you look at the mountain and we run, but the Bible says that we can speak to it. And that's what that song is saying, get out of my way, because it's a lot of people I feel like is being shackled and chained down. But I'm saying this year, we're not taking that no more. Get out of my way, whatever it is, frustration, doubt, worry, opinions, out of my way. I will achieve everything the Lord has set me to achieve. I've been through serious case of depression. With my mom, we've been homeless. My wife, I've been jobless. Don't know where my next meal was gonna come from, how we was gonna pay the rent, how we gonna get the lights cut back on. Man, I done been low to the point where I didn't want anything to do with God or the church, so I tried to run and he reeled me right back in. I've been walking with God and ended up suicidal, man, because the way I viewed myself and the opinions and the voices in my own head that discouraged me and told me that what I'm doing is not of God and it's not gonna move and I won't progress. So that had me with pills in my hand thinking about taking my own life. I think at least twice that I can remember off the top of my head that I was in that situation, but it was the grace of God, as you can see, that I'm still here. It wasn't until I hit depression and I got suicidal and wanted to give up on life is when Jesus became real to me. When he showed up right there and told me, you don't got to do this. He told me that he has a better plan for me, and he gave me a vision of where he wanted me to go. I had a vision of thousands of young people being on fire for God, using their gifts for his glory. They was dancing, they were singing, they was writing poetry. Man, they was rapping, you know what I'm saying? They was writing books, all for his glory, but they were doing it at the best.
What have you learned about when you do push through and get through the other side of fear? What's there?
Oof, it's joy on the other side of fear. Fear is just, I think it's validation that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. The fact that the enemy is challenging you to take your life, you should use that as confirmation that you're supposed to be here. Fear will shackle you. It will hold you. It'll have you, that's where depression came from. That's where anger will come from, and doubt, because you're scared. Scared of what? To be who God's calling you to be. Scared to move forward. Scared of what's on the other side of that wall. But once I was able to, through prayer and my wife's, my wife's encouraging words and pastor and some friends pushing me, I was able to get past myself and get to the other side of that wall.
Change's new album, Radical, is available on iTunes. Up next, finding hope after head injury.
Just a little love is enough to light the way.
Brain injury survivor Christabel Braden talks identity.
I've had to learn that I'm a child of God.
Welcome back. Our time is almost up for this episode of Studio 5, so let's look ahead right now to next week.
I know why we're here. A rescue op. Hey, Owen, save the dinosaurs from the island that's about to explode. What could go wrong? Blue, come with me. You know you can't stay here. Pack your men up right now.
The first part of this movie is classic Jurassic, and then you go into this far more dangerous world.
We arrive at this mansion where they're auctioning off these animals to the highest bidder.
What is that thing? They made it.
The Indoraptor.
We hope that people come out with their imaginations expanded of what a Jurassic Park movie can be.
These creatures were here before us. And if we're not careful, they're gonna be here after. Welcome to Jurassic World.
We've come to the end of this special episode of Studio 5, so I'm giving today's final word to Christabel Braden. She's a brain injury survivor and a musician. She's sharing her amazing story of recovery and hope with people all around the world.
With a little faith, someday you'll get through the pain. Just a little love is enough to light the way through your darkest night. Hope survives.
I had a really serious traumatic brain injury just over 9 years ago. And I had to relearn how to get myself dressed, how to take a shower, my vocabulary. The doctors at the time told my parents I'd most likely never graduate high school or ever be independent. Wow. And today I'm a college graduate. So, you know, it's, the Lord always has a plan.
Hope survives.
I looked up at the stars and I just heard in my head, I took a step and I heard, with a little hope you can make it through today. And I took another step and I heard, with a little faith someday you'll get through the pain. And I was like, okay. And I got back to my dorm and I was like, what song is that? I'm looking through my iTunes, like trying to figure out what it is. And it was not any song. And I knew I was supposed to write it. So I went to our music building and they have piano rooms, practice rooms, and I sat down and just wrote it, put it out as a single. I started to get all these emails and messages like flooding my inbox about how this song was affecting different people with brain injuries. I just was like, all right, so everyone who sent me an email and different people, we created a music video with holding up how hope survives in their life.
Hope survives.
The world usually likes to tell us to be yourself and, you know, follow your heart and do what you want to do and like be yourself and all these things. But if yourself can change from one hit to the head, then that's not who you are. We identify ourselves as what we like, what we don't like, our Facebook profile. We'll put in about me, right? You put in what you like. But that's not about me. Like, I've had to learn that I'm a child of God, and that's my identity, and nothing can take that away from me or anybody. Like, a brain injury could happen to anyone.
Absolutely.
For me, because of that and because of everything I know that God has me in the palm of his hand, just like he has all of us there.
Absolutely.
And I try to every day just walk out step by step where he would have me go and just listen.
And that is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5. Until next time, reach out and touch me at Ephraim Graham on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And then come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.